under this fantastic weather we've been having all weekend long, but it has been a test for the drivers. So very shortly we will get the go ahead. The green flag will wave, sending the 32 strong drivers in this particular category. There is one non-starter in the form of Lukas Scherbinskas, who was medically not cleared to continue racing this weekend after his first qualifying heat. But it's going to be an exciting way to kickstart the business end of the race weekend here in northern Italy. So, we're just seconds away for kick-starting final number 2 for the Junior Max division. And there is one guy that is looking to defend his title, having secured it with 1 round to go last year. He's got a tougher ask of his skill sets this weekend. He's been putting his paces through in the heats and in the first final. Mike Van Vugt, who will be getting the very good opportunity from what is the best position possible. So, the green flag waves on the start-finish line, and we get our first of 4 finals this afternoon underway. Mike Van Vugt, the defending, reigning 2018 Euro Trophy Junior Max champion, is on pole position. Alongside him will be the hard-charging Swede of Vilgot Edqvist. Marcel Sumach and Jerzy Spinkovic make it a Polish row 2. Behind them is Olli Pilka and Charlie Wirtz on row 3. Jeff Machiels and Danny Van Dijk round out the top 4 rows, with Leighton Fourie from South Africa and Lucas Schoenmakers from the Netherlands rounding out the top 10. Then it's Germany's Gianni Andrisani and Poland's Viktor Oberzanek. Following that, it is the UK's Daniel Ginchard with Jeffrey Fixer alongside the Brit on row number 7. Dante Rapagna and Eliska Babikova round out row 8. Completing the top 20, it's Morris Schmeiss, Alexander Abskava, Max Stemenik and Jules Castro. Shota Fuji from Japan, of course, will be alongside Morris Schuring on that particular row. Row 11, Gregorio Bertocco, one of the locals here in Italy, will have Alexander Renner alongside on row 12. Then it's Miro Halika, Bart de Wit, Christian de Klein, Ethan Coetzee from South Africa, Flint Schuring, Lars Zanen and Giuseppe Fonzi completing the 31-strong grid. Well, this is a welcome sight. I'm so glad to be back in the commentary box for another season with the Euro Trophy. But at the end of this first race, we will provisionally find out who may very well be going to the Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy at Le Mans between the 20th and 24th of August. Now, Mike Van Vugt already 5 weeks ago got his hands on a ticket for the 20th running of the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals, which will be held in southern Italy, just off Mount Vesuvius at the Circuito Internazionale Napoli. So, top 10, it's Van Vugt on pole with Edqvist alongside. Sumach and Spinkovic on row 2. Pilka and Wirtz, row 3. Machiels and Van Dijk, row 4, with Fourie and Schoenmakers rounding out the top 10. The clock is set at 11 minutes. We'll have 1 additional lap after the time has expired. The juniors hopefully going to get a clean start first time of asking. They go into the tram lines. The Rotax Max engines roar into life. And do we go green this time? Well, not too sure. But they are at full racing speed. It is going to be a squabble for positions from at least 5th onwards. 2 abreast, 3 abreast coming out of turn number 2 there. And I can already see that Charlie Wirtz is having to fend off Danny Van Dijk already going into turn number 4. 10 minutes and, 42 seconds plus an additional lap. Olli Pilka's up into 3rd. Oh, that's a good move there. Looks to be Vilgot Edqvist having got up into 4th position there. Past Spinkovic maybe by my count, as Jeff Machiels is falling a bit further behind. He's been passed by Charlie Wirtz on the inside of turn number 6. So everyone is making it through thus far. All 31 competitors still out on the asphalt. It is blisteringly hot out there. There has been a little bit of a breeze, but not enough to help cool everyone's core temperatures here. But at the moment, Van Vugt has got the head down, and he's a clear distance of nearly 0.6 of a second ahead of Marcel Sumach. Vilgot Edqvist, Olli Pilka, and Jerzy Spinkovic round out the top 5, but Leighton Fourie, the youngster from South Africa, up into 6th place, past Charlie Wirtz. And is that another move? Yes, he's done that again. Spinkovic loses out to the South African going through turn 3. Wirtz is trying to go through the cutback past the Polish driver. Can't make it stick, but has got Jeff Machiels hot on his heels, and Danny Van Dijk right behind. Well, not that far behind, probably about 6 kart lengths. So, more changes. That is a change for 5th, 6th. Could that be 7th position? Well, that's definitely the fact that Jeff Mahil's not having the great run of it. And Ollie Pilker's just jumped up into 3rd place, having got past Vilgot Edqvist through turn number 9. So the Polish driver has shown great pace this weekend. And I tell you what, he is gunning for Van Vugt. He could have taken the win, but there was a penalty, I believe, post-race. Might have been for a drop-down bumper, not 100% sure. But Van Vugt has a lead of nearly 7.5 tenths of a second. Cermak, Pilker, Edqvist and Leighton Fourie now round out the top 5. Charlie Wirtz is hot on the heels of the South African, about 2 or 3 kart lengths behind, heading into turn number 4. And there's more toing and froing with Gianni Andrisani a little bit further down. I think he's being surrounded by the likes of Dan Ginchard, Victor Oberjanek, and a few others, maybe even Jeffrey Fixer and Lucas Schoenmakers. But Mike Van Vugt striding as he normally does out the front, as I've seen him over the last few, over the last year actually, in fact, in both the B&L Karting Series and the Rotax Max Euro Trophy. So he's got a clear gap at the moment. It was nearly 7.5 tenths. Could Pilker be closing the gap? There's a really good battle here. Let's just see who that is through. That is with Cermak and Edqvist. Edqvist now up into 3rd position. Pilker's about 8 tenths of a second adrift from Van Vugt at the moment as things stand. So at the moment, well, Van Vugt really is just showing what he's going to do, but 2 tenths quicker than him is the man in 2nd position, Ollie Pilker from Dan Holland Racing, 52.305. Now, I normally know that Van Vugt likes to do the treble in most races, put it on pole, take the fastest lap, and also take the race victory. Well, he's in the lead at the moment. He took pole position for this race, but the man in 2nd, Ollie Pilker, has the actual fastest lap of this race at 52.305. That was just over 2 tenths of a second quicker than the Dutch ace, who's based out of Oxford, just 14 years old. That means he's in the upper age limit for Junior Max, so this could be the last time we see him in the category this year. And, well, it's comparable by about half a tenth. Pilker was half a tenth quicker than Van Vugt, so the gap's now dropped down to 0.78 seconds. Edqvist in 3rd. Cermak, Fourie was actually just over 1.5 tenths quicker than Marcel Cermak on that last lap. So is he trying to close the gap up? He's going to try his best, I think. Charlie Wirtz just sets his best lap of the race at 52.228. He's down in 6th position at the moment. Behind him is Danny Van Dijk from the Netherlands. Then it's Belgium's Jeff Mahils, Victor Oberjanek, Gianni Andrisani from Germany now in the top 10, running under the RS competition stable. So behind Andrisani, we have Ginchard and we have Dante Dapagni, who's just been put a little bit wide coming out of turn 9, firmly and fairly, but there was a little bit of a side pod contact between him and Dan Ginchard going through the left-hand kink into the final corner. So 6 minutes and 33 seconds to go, pretty much halfway in terms of the timescale application for this race, 11 minutes plus an additional lap. Gap is just over 3/4 of a second between 1st and 2nd position. But I do have to say that Cermak is keeping Edqvist very honest. Fourie was about nearly 1 tenth quicker than Cermak on that last lap. So Leighton Fourie trying to claw up more points. Started in 9th, he's now in 5th. It's a further 9 tenths back to Charlie Wirtz, son of Alexander Wirtz, who's currently in the Le Mans test at La Sarthe. Not too far from the Circuit Alain Prost, where the international trophy will be later on this coming August. So it's about 3 months away. Top 15 at the moment, it's Van Vugt, Pilker, Edqvist, Cermak, Fourie, Wirtz, Van Dijk, Mahils, Andrisani, Oberjanek, Ginchard, Rapagni, Fixer, Schoenmakers and Maurice Schmeis now up into the top 15 with Bertocco from Italy down in 16th position, but he's only about 3 tenths off of the German driver in the 210 at the moment. Van Vugt's lead is being slightly truncated, but not to the point where he needs to worry about it quite yet, because it was just over 7.5 tenths last time around. It's now just over 7 tenths. So Pilker is trying to claw that lead back, but I think Van Vugt is just responding as he calmly does, and quite interesting that he can switch from Dutch to English at the drop of a hat when I interviewed him with regards to the points leader standings after the qualifying heats earlier on today. So he took 2 wins, didn't qualify on pole, but shows that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to start on pole position to win a race. And that's definitely a case in point with Mr. Van Vugt. So, gap now down to just under 7 tenths between 1st and 2nd. And Danny Van Dijk has now got past Charlie Wirtz for position. So it's a bit of cat and mouse between the 256 from the Netherlands and the 251 from Austria, who also just happens to be Austria's representative for the FIA Academy Trophy as well. So really good to see Charlie, who I do remember ran in the B&L at some point. Also Oscar, one of his brothers, also ran in the B&L karting series, so they have got Rotax racing experience. So know the Rotax Max engines very, very well indeed, but he was hoping for some better results a little bit yesterday when I had a brief chat with him just after the second chance heat for the Senior Max drivers earlier on today. So the lead is now being dropped again by Olli Pilker's efforts, and the Polish drivers just set the fastest lap of the race once again with just under 4 minutes remaining plus an additional lap. So Olli Pilker's got the gap to just over 5.5 tenths between himself and Van Vugt. And in the meantime, just keeping an eye on what Leighton Fury is doing at the minute, he is about just over 1.5 tenths off of Marcel Sermach, who is in 4th position behind Vilgot Edqvist from Strawberry Racing. And the gap between Van Dijk and Wirtz last time around was around 3 tenths. So Charlie Wirtz still keeping in striking distance, there or thereof, of Danny Van Dijk from the Netherlands in the 256. So, and behind them we have a really good battle for 8th position. That does include, I think that is Jeff Machiels leading it, Daniel Ginchard and Germany's Gianni Andrisani. So hold on to your hats. It might not be the lead that we're talking about. We're going to find out what's happening for 8th at the moment. As this is an absolutely great work by Dan Ginchard to get into the slipstream of Jeff Machiels. Ginchard has swapped back to now Persistence Motorsport, who have Lewis Gilbert, the Dorey Diamond in Senior Max, and Alex Pendlebury under their banner at the moment. So Ginchard's really been enjoying this reinvigoration of enjoying racing, and he's really hounding Jeff Machiels going in to the right-hander at turn number 5. So Jules Castro now behind Shota Fuji. So Castro in 18th place behind the Japanese driver who started in 21st. We went racing just over 9.5 minutes ago. So we got 2 minutes, 23 seconds plus an additional lap here. Van Vugt's gap is being clawed back, but it's incremental only. Pilker's trying to chip away, a bit like a lumberjack against a tree, but not getting very far at the moment. However, he got a bit closer in the braking zone for turn 3. You can see there is a little bit of an uphill climb as, Dan Ginchard's now got ahead of Jeff Machiels, who shut the door firmly on Gianni Andrisani, but Andrisani fires it up the inside on the Belgian driver, tries to get past on turn 4, but can't make it work quite yet. So we're into the dying seconds or so of this second final. All results are provisional, subject to any scrutineering and also judicial matters here. But it's been clean work so far from Van Vugt, who wants to get on the top step at the Grand Finals this year. He had stern competition from countryman Robert De Haan, who did take that title. So there's been a couple of changes. Dante Rapanga's dropped all the way down to around about 21st. No, make that 22nd position, as we've got just over a minute remaining in the second Junior Max final. And the gap now between Van Vugt and Pilker is just over 4 tenths, 0.433 exactly, if you want to be pedantic. But then it's a further 1.3 seconds back to Vilgot Edqvist. So your guess is as good as mine. Will he have time to mount a last-ditch attempt to get past Van Vugt? I have a clear feeling and a clear indication by the pace that is being set. They were within 5 1,000ths of each other last time. Van Vugt sets exactly the same lap time as he did last time out. Pilker went a fraction faster by about 1/100th. So we're coming down into the last 20 or so seconds of this second Junior Max final for the first round of the 2019 Rotax Max Euro Trophy season here at Adria Karting Raceway. So it has been pretty much what I have come to not just want, but expect from Mike Van Vugt, being the 3 title winner from last season. So the time is now run out to 0. It's going to be through the turn 10 right-hander for the final, the penultimate time for Mike Van Vugt before he sees the final lap board. And the gap now between himself and Olli Pilker is just over 3.5 tenths. Ran about just over 1,100 meters or so as the two leaders go firing through the right-hand sweeper, which turns in on itself at turn 2 behind Edquist and Surmatch. Leighton Fourie hasn't made that much of an indent, but I tell you what, the South African, despite his dramas in the qualifying heats, will be very happy indeed with the 5th place finish. Meanwhile, Andrisani, oh, that was close. Oh, that was a bit of nearly a bit of carnage there. Andrisani fired it up the inside of Michiels, going through into turn number 3. The German went sideways and nearly took Michiels with him, and the pair went Tokyo Drift through that corner, so that was very close indeed. But, ladies and gentlemen, the checkered flag is being prepared for the final time for Junior Max action, and it waves for the 217 of Mike van Vugt from the Netherlands, who now not just has, provisionally speaking, a grand final ticket, I think he's got a ticket to Le Mans this coming August. So well done, Mike van Vugt. Ollie Pilker managed to try and claw the gap back, but he got to within nearly 6/10, and he overtakes Van Vugt, who decides to slow down a bit and cool the tyres down. So Van Vugt wins Junior Max final number 2, wins 2 qualifying heats, and then on a result of a technicality in the first final due to a post-race penalty, Mike van Vugt, provisionally speaking, has taken an entry-only ticket to the Rotax Max Challenge International Trophy on the 20th and the 24th of August 2019 at Le Mans. So, Van Vugt wins ahead of Pilker by just over 5.5 tenths of a second. Vilgot Edquist takes the well-deserved 3rd place, having started on the front row. Marcel Surmatch and Leighton Fourie round out the top 5, the pair running with KMS Europe. Then it's Rodeka Motorsports, Danny Van Dyke, VBDR's Charlie Wirtz, Daniel Ginchard up to 8th at the flag ahead of Gianni Andrisani and Jeff Michiels, Lucas Schoenmakers, Jeffrey Fixer, Victor Oberjanek, Christian de Klein and Jules Castro rounding out the last of the points finishers. Bertocco, Kurtzi, Abscava, De Witt, Fuji, Renner, Schmeiss, Forenzi. It looks like Flint Schuring got ahead of Morris Schuring for 24th, ahead of Max Stemmerdink, Miro Halika, Lars Zanen, with Dotte Repagne and Eliska Babikova unfortunately not finishing the race, with Lukas Scherbinskas a non-finisher. But the breaking news is, provisionally speaking, Mike van Vugt not only goes to Sarno, but also has the chance to go to Le Mans in August this year.